Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel John Dewey.
And this is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Let's get to it, motherfuckers.
You messed it up.
I messed it up a little bit. All right, Noel, we're back. And this time we're going back to the 1980s, 1985. That is with the Tobe Hooper directed Lifeforce. This fucking crazy motherfucking movie about space vampires. Yes, I said it. It's about space vampires. You heard me correctly. Space vampires based on the book called, guess what? Space Vampires. Come on, Noel, talk to me a little bit about Lifeforce.
Oh, man, I feel like such a phony after not even really knowing about this movie. I mean, this was just everything that a movie should be. It should be first, all movies should have been made in the 80s.
All science fiction.
All science fiction should have been made in the 80s. That should have just been a rule. It was cheesy, it was campy, but it was ambitious. And it was, you know, it was like over the top, like purposely. So I thought this was amazing. I just couldn't believe this went under my radar. And with Patrick Stewart showing up and everything, just forget about it. Absolutely fantastic. And English, like a British film as well. You know, British sci-fi in the 1980s was kind of, especially British sci-fi horror, probably hard enough to come by. I'm sure better minds than mine would think of a good few examples. But,
Alien was made in England, Pinewood Studios.
Was it? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I suppose that's it. For me, that's an American, an American.
Ridley Scott's British, isn't he?
I don't know. You're the director guy.
No, I think he actually is.
This film. I thought it was just so incredibly 80s, so incredibly over the top.
Yeah.
The special effects, the absolutely pointless nudity.
Pointless. Sorry. Pointless. I was definitely pointing.
It was an awful good and awfully good movie there. Yeah. What about you?
No, I found this film by pure chance. I was bored one time, really fucking wrecked after like a hard day's writing or some shit. But I can remember just wafting through Netflix looking for something. I say, I need some cheesy science fiction. So I was in the science fiction section and I came across this. And I didn't even see what it was about. I just seen, do you know the way in Netflix they have the synopsis to the left at the top of the screen, and to the right they usually have like a little bit of the movie playing, and a little bit of the movie played, and all I seen was like somebody, like a special effects shot or something. I think maybe in the body on the bed or something on the gurney with the guy that was drained, and I was just like, play. Didn't even know what it was about, like didn't care. I just like, it was like, it's from the right era, it's from the mid-80s science fiction.
Some of the best films you'll ever see.
Big Lebowski, I told you about that before. I found that by pure chance. It just happened to be on RTE one night, and I was just happened to I caught it. It was like the midweek movie they used to have. I caught the start of it just luckily, and I ended up seeing the whole thing. It was the first time I'd ever seen it, never heard about it. And like that's kind of the way with Lifeforce is like, but I get these things where I love science fiction from the 70s and 80s and the 60s as well. I absolutely love that aesthetic. I love that style. I love the ideas they had in the future and whether or not they coalesced with what actually occurred in the future that we're now living in. And I just love the ideas that they had and the difference of interpretation they had of futuristic technology to the technology we know today. And I'm obsessed with these movies, right? So I'm constantly looking for new movies in the science fiction genre that are around the period between the mid 60s to the mid 80s. In and around that time for me is like the golden age of cheesy sci-fi. And that's how I found Lifeforce. I was just looking for a cheesy science fiction movie from the 80s. It was on Netflix. I was fucking exhausted one time, threw it on, and I laughed my ass off the entire way.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Fucking
it was clever. You know, it obviously didn't have the budget you'd have now, and it obviously didn't have.
I think it was a big budget, 25 million or something. I think.
Yeah, no, that's decent. To be fair, that's actually a very decent budget. But at the same time, you know, when they were like flying through into the chamber to find the vampires, and you know, they were all kind of like zero gravity and all that kind of stuff, and they had like wide shots. And these big open chambers and stuff like that. And I was like, this actually looks really good. Or some of the bodies that had been, some of the bodies that had their life force drained from them. Like the one guy that runs into his cell door and he's so dry he just explodes. The animatronics and stuff like that. I just thought
special effects were next level. The practical effects.
The practical effects were next level, and that's the thing. Even these cheesy films and films that will, of course, were cheesy and maybe even cheesy at their time, less cheesy, but
no, look cheesy to us, cutting edge.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but there is always someone like an absolute goddamn genius on site, and he's just not necessarily behind the camera or in front of it. Somebody who
Yeah.
works absolutely off site
Yeah.
and puts together some apps like the bodies that had their life force drained from them.
Yeah.
When you finally see the true form of the vampires, with our main girl Matilda May, when she was made entirely of blood and stuff. There was some. It was clever. Like some of it was actually really clever.
Still
And
do her.
yeah, and she'll be, she will be delighted to hear that you would still
No,
do her.
if she's made out of blood, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, if she's made out of blood. Well,
You
yeah,
say
yeah,
she's made
absolutely.
completely out of blood. I'm like,
A real man loves her all year round.
Dirt. But yeah, no, I love the aesthetics of movies from this era, and like as you said, the wide angle shots and the shots in space, they're very ambitious for a movie from 1985, like, you know. And obviously, you know, even though this movie was very ambitious, it flopped massively in the box office. Probably the reason Tobe Hooper went and did Texas Chainsaw Massacre the following year, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, sorry, the following year. Maybe that's why he returned to something more familiar. We were wondering why there was such a big long gap and all of a sudden he went back to it. Maybe this was the reason, the box office failure of Lifeforce. But like, I loved everything he tried, the animatronics, the design of the space bats. Crazy sentence. But like, the design, of you said, of the drawn victims that have all their life force sucked out of them, and the puppets, and the special effects, or the practical effects they use, or special effects maybe as well, that they use when they're coming back, when that guy comes back from being insanguinated, or whatever the word would be, that he comes back and drains the other doctor. Do you remember that dude?
Yeah.
And the special,
and that's how it spreads. It's yeah,
exactly. Like so no. Apart from all the cool things that and the cheesiness of, what do you make of the general premise of space vampires?
yeah, you know, there is just something. I don't know. Like, I was born in the 80s, but I didn't grow. Like, I didn't come of age.
He's an immortal being. His secret is out. He's an immortal being.
Oh, stay tuned. We just have banter like this.
His name's Noel Tuzela.
I actually did like that.
That's what I do.
But there was just something so forgivable. Like, there's something that the 80s could do that you're not allowed to do now.
Cocaine.
There's something about the what films are expected to be, and when you look back at this and you're just thinking, wow, this film was having fun with itself. You know what I mean? It was both trying to take itself serious on this huge scale, and it was taking the piss out of itself on this huge scale.
I don't think it was.
There has to have been moments where they were just like, yeah, this is a bit cheesy. Or a bit, like, I mean, when she's in the cathedral near the end.
Yeah, but it's cheesy to us. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't cheesy back then. Like, this is the guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, did Poltergeist.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
actually, that's true.
You know what I mean. So, like,
there's something in the air in the 80s. There was just something that everyone seemed to agree.
Cocaine.
Like, I blame it. No, I blame it on hairspray, man.
Yeah,
sure, there was cocaine, but I think there was just so much hairspray all the time, every room. Cocaine made you focused. You know? It was the hairspray. That was the reason we had these.
Colombians importing cocaine through hairspray. Wait, what?
Why not? You know. But what an absolutely epic kind of movie, and especially if you do like your films to entertain you, if you like a taste of the 80s, if you like something that's colorful and ambitious, this is definitely a film for you. You wouldn't believe that anybody who was involved with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was actually involved with this. My brain just doesn't retain that.
He did,
my brain just
4 or 5 years beforehand, though, didn't he? What's Poltergeist?
Yeah, no, that one I knew.
Well, no, I mean, like, in terms of, look at his mainstream crossover. Like, what was Poltergeist? I'll check it here. So no, sorry, continue on your point.
I think Poltergeist is about 82. But you wouldn't think that had his name. Was it 82? I feel smart now. But I don't think it had any of that flavor. I think so. Maybe you're right. It wasn't supposed to be cheesy. It was supposed to be end of the world, cataclysmic. Ancient aliens / ancient vampires, one and the same. They're where the myths comes from and all this kind of stuff. Because I had like professors and doctors were essentially chasing the vampires around, and the men like didn't even get any lines or anything. They just had this one extremely beautiful woman who they just focused everything around.
The dude got one line near the end. The surviving dude that didn't get killed. I can't remember what the line was, but he had one line. He said it to the main character. Do you remember before he turned into a bat?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't
That,
remember what his
yeah,
name was, but he had one line.
exactly. Because it was, you should come to me and die or something like that. You
Some
know what
shit
I
like
mean?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, I'll come, all right, or whatever. And he comes over
Dirt.
and stabs him. Yeah, that dart.
And he's like,
The
I'll
absolute.
ejaculate. You are thine enemy, and I shall spray you with my manlord.
Yeah, there was this like overt sexiness to them, wasn't there? You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I absolutely, oh man, I love this film. I was just sitting here, just absolutely gleeful because I love the 80s era of horror. And sometimes you think you've tapped that well dry,
It's
and then
impossible.
something just comes along, and you just think, just well done, 80s, well
Man,
played.
what if I'll tell anybody, if you think you found every good movie that's made in the 80s that's horror or science fiction, just watch what's it called, In Search for Darkness. Those two documentaries are In Search of Darkness. I always get that name wrong. So either one of those two, check that out, and like you will come across so many movies you have not seen. That's how I found out about From Beyond. Like, you know what I mean? So like there is constant
Great
movies.
movie.
Yeah, there's constant movies that you'll find on those kind of documentaries. The 80s is a well that never runs dry. Like
Yeah, it was
never
like a
runs dry.
great era for body horror and kind of like acid horror and
And
stuff like that. You
cocaine
know, like
horror.
cocaine horror, basically. But
Mm-hmm.
it was, and there is something so like so terrifying about the scope of these sometimes because it's kind of like in the mouth of madness.
Yeah,
It's not just about like
that was the
something's chasing
90s,
you
I
through
think, wasn't it?
that was in the 90s, yeah.
Mm.
But it's not just been chased through the woods and been cut the ribbons and that's the end of it. It's like it's bigger questions like the origin of man. They're like From Beyond's a great example because it was about the pituitary gland in the brain and higher
Darcy
levels
Knight.
of conscious, and maybe the vampires were just like a higher level of being, and it was it's supposed to fuck with your brain a little bit. Some films do it better than others, but I always kind of like to tap into that. I've never seen one of those films that I didn't enjoy, even in a fun way or in a very overt, just excellent way. But I'm sure there's terrible examples, but my experience with those kind of films, they've always just kind of done it for me.
So, like, even if they're not the best, they always entertain. That's the best thing about
It's
them.
exactly
Always
thing,
entertain.
always entertain.
Always, no matter
You
what.
know,
Like, without fail, if they're like, I watched a movie called Arena a couple of years ago, and it's I found it on Netflix again. I found it around the same time as Lifeforce, and it's about this guy who's like a human that's on a far off planet, and he's fighting all these robotic aliens in this kind of weird gladiatorial system, and he's kind of dressed like a Pokemon. It's incredible.
you would be.
I honestly think it should be a future episode. It's that bonkers. You're going to laugh
everything
your
you
ass off.
everything you said was right. I haven't seen it. I don't know what it is, and absolutely every word you said was correct.
It's incredible. But like, so no, like, I don't like. Do you honestly did you like this iteration of vampires? It's like cosmic drain in the life force. They're just like this weird kind of, I don't know, intergalactic succubus type creature. The only reason we see them as humans because that's the way they wanted us to perceive them. Remember, she said that. I reached down.
Oh yeah, because they could be any. I loved it, and that's it. If she was somewhere else in the universe and it was a creature that was like evolved from scorpions,
yeah,
then she would look like something that would appeal to them. That is literally just a shape. That's absolutely nothing to them. Because, of course, I loved all of that. I loved all of that, and I loved how clever they tried to make it. Because everybody was at an IQ of like 210. That was in it. They're all absolutely top of their fields and stuff like that. And but there was just this camp silliness, and very little actually got explained.
The fucking name Lifeforce is far superior than Space Vampires from the book.
Yeah, I mean,
a bit on the nose, dude. What's your book about? Let me see. I'll give you I'll give you a little hint. The title is Space Vampires.
Yeah.
It's like, now try fill in the blanks, motherfucker.
Yeah, now try fill in the blank. Space vampires, and that's all you're getting from me.
Yeah, so like, it's a book I've never read. It's a book I want to read now. I want to see if it's as bonkers as the movie. But I'm not sure if anything could be that bonkers. But like, I'm
looking at some of the covers for the actual book, and
yeah,
it's just going to be good stuff. Yeah, it's just going to be good stuff.
But
my words could not do it justice. I'm just going to say it'd be good stuff.
Yeah, I like new iterations or new takes on old tropes. This is one of the craziest ones I've ever seen. I'd love to know the thought stream behind the original creator. Do you have the author's name there in front of you?
Colin Wilson or something like that. One second.
Colin Wilson. Like, I just the fucking thought stream becomes like vampires. If they're, what if they're, are they like allergic to sun?
Yeah, again, just register that under unanswered questions.
Because in space there's a few of them.
Yeah, there is. There's a few of them, and especially if you like you hide yourself inside of a crystal that would only magnify the sun. And you're absolutely bollock naked, I might add,
But outside of the cheesiness, and I like the interesting take, the cosmic life force draining in place of the bloodletting, the blood sucking. They still kept the old trope of being held under the thrall of the vampire, and that's kind of how Matilda May kind of controlled a lot of people, apart from her, incredible breasts. But so I like the way it kind of paired up the new iterations of the tropes that inspired it, while it's also keeping some elements of it around. And I thought, apart from the cheesiness, at least it was a decent attempt at clever storytelling. That kind of way.
It was.
It's something original.
And there is something that the 80s is a victim of its own success. We all loved it, but when we look back on it, through these X-ray glasses that people used to, and we analyze it in the kind of cheesy, corny way. We kind of make fun of it. Yeah. And if you even think of properties now that are going back and revisiting it, they like, I remember when I was watching Stranger Things, the newest episode, and he was talking about his I don't know what type of radio you'd call the radio that he had. It's not coming to me.
Walkie-talkie.
No, but the one he wanted to get in touch with his girlfriend that definitely existed, and it turns out she did exist. And
like a shortwave radio or something like that.
And he was explaining and this can do this, and this can do this, and this technology, we could talk to somebody 1,000 miles away, and they're all like, that doesn't sound believable. And you're kind of like, yeah, because this has been made so far in the future that's like little league kind of stuff. And you always feel like you're kind of taking the piss out of it all of the time. Which is exactly what's going to be done to us in the 40s, and it's just going to go on like that. But I do think that it's hard to look at it through the lens, and I'm certainly incapable.
Yeah,
I'm incapable of not seeing this through the absolute magic that I feel in my soul for 80s horror. I just love it, man.
Well, and one of my favorite scenes was, do you remember, you touched upon it earlier, about the visual style that they used to bring it to life, with the wide angle shots and all that, the discovery of the ship itself within Halley's Comet's tail. Even that's kind of a cool premise, but when they go into the ship and they find all the kind of the humanoid back creatures, like, even though this movie's cheesy, that scene was done pretty well. I love those scenes.
That's what I mean. Was that they went for wide angle shots, they went for zero gravity, and they went for these kind of like alien chambers kind of thing, and it was actually done extremely well.
Yeah, it was really cool looking. Like, it looks awesome.
Judge it on its time. That's all you can do. That's all anything deserves. And yeah, it looked awesome. It looked incredible. I was sitting there, and I said it to Sheila a few times. I was like, this actually looks really good. Because space vampire, you said space vampires 80s, I was in, but I was expecting it to just be so stupid. Like, everything about it, from like, out the tail, just to be stupid. But it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
It's the finest kind of cheese, fondue levels of cheese.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just everything about it was perfect. Like, even like the crazy effect when Patrick Stewart gets infected and he starts, like, the blood starts getting drained out of him and shit. Like, do you remember that in the helicopter? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
do you remember?
It was awesome.
Like, they seem to have one weakness I've discovered. If you take this huge metal bar and drive it as hard as you can through their chests, they don't like that. You're like, Doctor, you're a genius.
They didn't even show that scene, didn't they? Not?
No, they didn't. No.
We don't have the budget.
That's where they red herring, though, where you think the Doctor was going to be dead and they went back and he was alive, because we all just assumed when a vampire thing shows up that he's fucked. But so there was like method to the madness. But oh god,
do you remember? Sorry, go on.
No, I wasn't going to say anything important. Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I was just going to say, do you remember the scene when the two MPs are down in the morgue and the two guys start coming back to life to start reanimating, and they start shooting them? How many bullets do you have to shoot someone before you flee? How many times do you shoot someone before you resign yourself to the fact that maybe bullets aren't going to do the job? They throw grenades way too late. Like, if I empty one clip in somebody, I'm not reloading. Okay, I'm either running or throwing a grenade. Maybe both.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
But if something moves in a morgue, I'm opening up with the grenade. Like day one, word one, just grenade.
Dr. Toohey.
Just imagine, just like something like a scalpel falls off a table, instantly turn around, grenade.
That'd be amazing. It's like Dr. Toohey, he was just actually alive.
He was, honestly.
He would have survived. What's that? Dr. Toohey, he was just an intern asleep on the bed.
Yeah. Or like,
it were lies.
Well, I still say I was right to throw the grenade just to be sure.
It's my explosive temper. You'll have to forgive me.
Really, I don't know how I got through betting to get this show, to be completely honest with you.
I think you had this grenade during the interview.
I brought this grenade from home.
Says it here.
Why would I be inside an enclosed room with a grenade?
Use your head, woman. But like apart from the cheesiness and all the Matilda May awesome nakedness and Patrick Stewart being oddly young but still 50,
but still not that young.
Old.
Yeah,
still
like 55.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's kind of got that Steve
Was
Martin
he born
energy where he's always
7?
he's got that Steve Martin always been at least 50 kind of vibe going on, Like Steve Martin's aged a bit, but like he still looks like he did with the Man with Two Brains and stuff.
Yeah, he's kind of like Benjamin Button, but he never got young.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly
his body
it,
just got taller.
Like, he just got taller. Yeah,
probably pictures of Steve Martin when he's like 12, gray hair. Tommy Lee Jones when he's 12, covered in wrinkles. Like, you know what I mean? Like Tommy Lee Jones sitting down, he's just like, well, them crayons. I don't know about them crayons, but when I was just 7 years old, I got a story I could tell you about crayons. My papa, you know what I mean? Like that'd be Tommy Lee Jones at 12 years old sitting at recess.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mike Shannon would be another one of those,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mike Shannon came out of the womb 40 years old.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And he wasn't allowed to do show and tell because the teacher was just too afraid. He was just never allowed. He's just sitting there with those intense eyes, hands up, going,
"You're too intense, Michael.
Next.
You're too
intense, Michael." Yeah.
Nobody wants to see your fucking diorama, Michael. You're too intense. Jesus.
Nobody wants to play with you, Michael, and I get it. I get why you don't want to play with you. I'm on their side.
But what do you think of the kind of relationship between the two main cast in this? The I know, was he like a descendant of space vampires or something? The guy that arrived and he was like, "Ooh, I feel like I might have been here before."
Yeah, the guy that absolutely hammed it up. He was brilliant. Like the second he arrived, the press and everything were there, and he was just like, "No, not now." And he goes in and goes, "What's happening on the ground? I need to know." And he just had that. Yeah, he just immediately had that presence. I was like, this guy is so unnecessarily over the top. I just love him. Dr. Bukowski.
No, I'm talking about the astronaut dude that was in love with your one, Matilda May.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Tom Carlson.
Is that his name in the movie or real life?
That was his name in the movie, yeah. His name in real life is Steve Railsback.
Oh, yeah. I see his name on the credits, actually.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's an odd name.
I love the fact that he just confesses to everything and they're like, cool, all right. I let her loose. It's like, cool, yeah, no. Jesus, now look around. Not the best move there, Colonel.
Oops.
You destroyed the world, pal.
Let's just say it was my bingo Alpha Delta.
But that was another cool scene where he was destroying the ship and trying to escape on the pod and stuff like that. I thought, there was a little bit of love put into it. You can make fun of it, and we have, but there was definitely some love in a lot of these scenes.
What do you think of the design of the bat humanoids?
Oh, I loved it, man. It was actually, for me, I went back to the end of Hellraiser, where this homeless guy that you seen earlier in the film, he comes back and you see him eating maggots in a pet shop, eating bird feed or whatever. Yeah. And he picks up the box and then he turns into this being, and it looked like one of those vampires, except no flesh, no organs, just the actual skeletal. It's like a skeletal demon kind of thing.
No organs.
Yeah, and but to me, it looked like that. When it was alive, like that meant flesh. It kind of it harkened back to that for me. Although I suppose Hellraiser would have been a year after it, I think. But I thought it looked great. I mean, I thought it was an absolutely fantastic reveal.
Yeah, no.
What about you? Did it
Um,
tickle your foot, your horror bone?
yeah, no, I love the design, kind of like the old school demonology type thing, like that winged creature from the biblical text, that kind of thing.
I
So
got you.
I love that. I love the cheese in this spot. I loved something a word you said a couple of times, that it was ambitious. Like I loved that it tried to pull that off.
Oh yeah, yeah. No matter
Like
how you feel about it, you
yeah,
couldn't accuse that. You couldn't
yeah.
accuse it of not trying.
Yeah, so like I loved the my favorite practical effect in the entire movie was the emaciated body for sure. On in the morgue when and that starts reanimating and come back to life moving around. That's my favorite special effect in the movie. But the bat design was really fucking cool. It was really innovative. And for 1985, it was a really ambitious thing to try and do and put on film. And like I think they did a pretty good fucking job. Like for most of this film, it's cheesy as fuck. But apart from the acting being so corny, a lot of the stuff is really cool looking. You know what I mean? So like, no, before I let you get the fuck out of here, right? What is your final thoughts on Lifeforce? What would you are you now chomping at the bit to see more cheese like this?
Yes, it's like it's well, it's not will ever be on the level of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but
Yeah,
this just delighted me. It was so of its time. It was nice to see it from kind of an English perspective, as opposed to kind of as we often do, we've seen it from an American perspective. It was nice that it, like we already said, it's nice that it tried so hard. But at the
yeah,
same time, even when its shortcomings, it's still just such a delightful film that there's almost nothing you wouldn't forgive it. Like you were
yeah,
never thinking, when is this going to be over? The time flied when I was watching this.
yeah,
Absolutely flied. So no, I'm thinking if anyone likes a little touch of the 80s and something you can switch your mind off and just kind of enjoy the aesthetic of and the storyline of and the shortcomings of because again everything about this was enjoyable to me, that I could not recommend it. I think it's a slightly hidden, obviously not hidden to everyone, but a slightly hidden gem, and I'd recommend it. You?
yeah, no, like I have recommended it to you, and
And shall continue to
yeah,
others.
yeah, exactly. Like I do recommend this film quite a lot. Like I think it's pure cheese, and it's like you're always entertained by it, and because of how fucking insane it is from the outset. No matter what occurs in the style or the type of practical effect you use to make it occur, you don't blink. You're just like, oh, checks out. Like, you know what I mean? You never criticize the movie for what it tries because of how
No.
crazy it was from the get-go. So you're just like, okay, I mean, you're just like, fasten your seatbelts. I'm here for the fucking ride. And that's what Life Force is. From the minute they find that alien ship, I was just like, holy shit, what is this fucking movie? And I need to see every minute of it. And that's what it's just pure cheese, pure enjoyment. It's every bit of what made the 80s so much fun, so much fucking so unique. This style of story because it tried different things. Because like only in the 80s would someone look at the book and say space vampires and go, okay, 25 million, make that motherfucker and let's see how it goes. And that's what Life Force is. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
I mean, this film should have just come out and been called "Fuck You."
yeah,
That's it. Just
it should just been called snort cocaine.
yeah, snort cocaine.
Allegedly or something, whatever covers this legally.
But yeah, that's it, folks. That is Life Force. I
Yeah.
mean, just check it out. Oh, what else? What more do you want from us? Just check it out.
Yeah,
We can't do it justice in
yeah,
half an
it's
hour.
amazeballs, and I just want to say one thing I love about the 80s before we go is blue lightning. We don't see enough blue lightning anymore. That was the best thing with
Where's
you.
the blue lightning gone?
Where all the blue lightning gone?
Yeah, we're looking at you, Highlander.
Yeah, there can only be one. But yeah, so like it is everything that made the 80s fucking awesome, and
Yeah.
that's what Life Force is. So like, motherfucker, you've anything else to say? We get the fuck out of here.
No, let's get the fuck out of here.
All right, folks. That was Invasion of Potty Snatchers. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Nigel Tui.
And that was Life Force. Check it out. It's so fucking cheesy. Space vampires. That's all you need to know.
Peace.